5 controller tips to help you go from noob to pro in Fortnite so that you can get better at the game and potentially get earnings. Tip number 1, you want to change your switch mode to a bind that you don't use on your controller. Now yes, you can still pull out builds and switch mode with this bind, but guess what? We're not going to be using this bind ever. The whole purpose of changing this is so that it can decrease the delay that you have on your edit bind. This will make your edits a whole lot faster and a whole lot smoother, and your edit bind won't feel as sticky like somebody's holding it down. Tip number 2, now this is very crucial. You want to stop trying to play Fortnite as a controller player like a keyboard player. I see so many controller players trying to emulate what they see keyboard and mouse players do. A lot of that stuff doesn't work most of the time. Most of the controller players you see doing that stuff are usually in creative, and if I'm being honest, a lot of those people use clip bots anyway. But in a real game, most of that stuff just isn't practical, and you're going to find yourself getting shot and losing fights more often than not. Instead of trying to copy the mechanics you see keyboard and mouse players do, what you really want to be doing is trying to copy the mechanics you see controller players do, and not just any controller players, pro controller players, people that are actually playing inside of the game and aren't sitting in creative for 4 hours a day practicing one retake. Because I can tell you right now, I know so many controller players that will probably 30-0 me inside of creative, but in the real game they stand no chance because they just don't have real scenario practice. Tip number 3, crosshair placement. Now this is usually a thing that a lot of controller players overlook because they feel like because that they have aim assist, they don't need to practice crosshair placement or aim train at all, and they are sadly mistaken. Now I know some of you may be like, but I play on controller, why do I need to practice my crosshair placement? Why do I need to practice my aim? But the difference between a controller player that actually practice their aim and a controller player that relies solely on aim assist is insane. More often than not, if you look at it, you will see a lot of controller players that actually practice their aim look like they actually have aim bot. Another reason you want to practice your aim and practice your crosshair placement is because Epic changes how strong aim assist is constantly. So just in case they do change it and they make it weaker, you want to have the ability to aim for yourself just in case something does happen. On top of that, imagine a controller player that has good aim naturally on top of aim assist. I can guarantee you most of the people they run into are going to literally think that they're cheating, because at the end of the day, fast mechanics don't always win fights. Usually the thing that decides the winner of a fight when it's two good players that have good mechanics is their aim. Whoever can hit the most shots the fastest and the hardest. Pause. Tip number 4, stop making stupid edits. Now a lot of times I'll see controller players take someone wall and they'll make stupid edits that end up getting them shot because they think it looks cool or they feel like that's what they're supposed to do. Stop doing peanut butter edits. Stop doing wide wall edits, because that's the reason you're taking 150 damage on a player that you already shot for 120, and you're more than likely going to end up losing that fight now because that player is confident because they've done more damage to you. Instead, the thing that you really want to do is start editing more windows. Windows are the best edit that you can do when it comes to protecting yourself whenever you're in a fight. And if you practice your crosshair placement, like I said in previous tips, things people can do to you in these situations are minimal, because you can just sit there and go back and forth with the right hand peek shooting them, and they can't really shoot you unless you're just standing there in the middle of the window. Another thing you can do is edit the top 3 tiles once you've already bought somebody. This way you will have a nice right hand peek, and if they decide to try to hop out on you, you can just place a wall with the window and full box them again, giving you full control of the fight. Tip number 5, find a controller that's best for you. Now me personally, I used to play on a PS4 controller a lot, like it was the only controller that I used, but I switched over to an Xbox controller and I saw my gameplay improve dramatically. Now for the people that play on console, I know you guys can't switch from a PS5 controller to an Xbox controller or an Xbox controller to a PS5 controller. What you guys could do is start putting on attachments like trigger stops, paddles. I've even seen some controller players able to get a scroll wheel attachments for the controller, and these things are important. If you can get it, put it on there. And for my PC on controller players, like I said, maybe try playing around with different controllers. If you play on a PS4 controller, try Xbox. If you play on the Xbox, try PS4 or PS5 controller. You should really be trying to find everything possible to make the game as easy as possible for you, so you can go into the game and win more consistent.